Cyclone at Wonderland Amusement Park is easy to confuse with Mousetrap, but Cyclone is the name of this simple and classic wild mouse coaster. With no seatbelt or restraint, this is a classic gem between its forces and airtime. But just how great is this wild mouse coaster? Find out in this review. This coaster was made by Myler Manufacturing, which is most notable today for a few old solid kiddie coasters like Cyclone at P6 Farms and Dipsy Doodle at Mainstay Farms, both of which offer solid and enjoyable rides, despite their small size. 4 Wild Mouse coasters were made by Myler, which is kind of a shame as these are actually really solid and awesome coasters. Only 2 remain, with the other operating as Wild Chipmunk at Lakeside Amusement Park. The coaster itself, despite arriving in Amarillo in 1968, operated at 2 other parks before Wonderland, one in Atlanta and one in Oklahoma City. Wonderland Amusement Park is an isolated park in Amarillo, Texas, but the park itself is enjoyable and it routinely has ranked as the 4th best park in the Lone Star State. The flat ride collection is rather average, especially since the rarer rides are currently closed awaiting parts. But for having only 4 coasters, this park rocks with having coasters that appeal to both coaster enthusiasts and families, and are enjoyable to get many laps on while at the park. Since Wonderland doesn't have a season pass, lines at this park will be insanely short, and operations should be amazing. Normally, Wild Mouse coasters have a terrible capacity, with only seating a maximum of 4 riders, and Cyclone only seats a max of 2. These ride queues can crawl, especially when large families want to ride. Cyclone has even lower capacity as each train can hold 2 riders, with the second seating either in an inline position or otherwise in the lap of the other rider, meaning 2 adults would not be super comfortable riding together. However, Wonderland has generally short lines, as all guests must pay $30 per day to enter the park and ride the rides. For rides like Texas Tornado and Mousetrap, which have rider minimums, this can actually be a problem for coaster enthusiasts, since there are so few people riding the coasters. With quick dispatches, Cyclone is able to send out most of those who come to ride, maybe 8 to 10 people over the course of 5 minutes, or a normal dispatch cycle on a coaster, quickly. This coaster also is a bit scarier with its drop, wild layout, and lack of a seatbelt, so younger kids who will ride Mousetrap will be hesitant or unwilling to ride Cyclone. Though Cyclone has great forces and overall pacing, I actually found the drops on Mousetrap to be better. So if you're only scared of drops, you can probably handle Cyclone if you're good with the drops on Mousetrap. The unique aspect of this coaster are the trains. You sit inside of a car, rather deeply inside, and there are not a large amount of places to brace yourself or hold on to, so you can be thrown around a bit, and sometimes thrown around uncomfortably. The insides are well padded though, and this helps, but not always. More notably, there are no seatbelts or restraints. Given this is an older coaster, and with the depth that you're inside the cars, it seems they were just not deemed necessary when it was built. Today, this offers a really unique feeling, as you will be able to get a bit more from the Airtime Hills, as you're not used to feeling that loose on a roller coaster for sure. Cyclone starts off with a quick lift hill, followed by the traditional hairpin turns of a Wild Mouse coaster. These give decent laterals, but the lack of restraints in seating hurts this area in comparison to other Wild Mouse coasters, as you're not able to get crazy strong laterals. But you do get good laterals in a unique way, so it is still a great way to start a coaster. After a few more turns, you enter the first drop, which has a small pre-drop, so you press the drop down. These are solid, enjoyable Wild Mouse drops. Not exactly like the memorable ones that you've experienced from a good running Wild Mouse, as they're a bit freer and you feel a bit more exposed, but it gives you an enjoyable drop feeling on a coaster for sure. Then you pop up into a left turn that is oddly banked, so you're leaning to the side of your car for this section before dropping down again. This time though, you get a large airtime hill. Though you crest the top too slowly to get thrown too much from the seat, the lack of a restraint helps to give you a nice little pop at the apex of this hill. The next turn left is also banked, followed by another drop and another airtime hill, which really doesn't get old or feel repetitive at all. You have one last awkwardly banked left turn which leads into the finale, a tight, crushing downwards turn. With no restraint, you are wildly thrown around with the various forces on this turning drop that, on a few rides, will make you feel all crumpled up heading into the final brake ride. This is a forceful experience, but not super enjoyable per se, but it does its job as a strong finale with character to send you on your way from this ride. Overall, how good is Cyclone? With its blend of laterals and airtime hills, this is a solid Wild Mouse coaster, and the lack of restraints makes it even more unique and special. There are areas it could be better, but the pacing and overall feel of this coaster is strong, as it is a truly enjoyable ride. I place it right above Montu at Busch Gardens Tampa Bay. I do like B&M inverts less than the average coaster enthusiast, but I do rank Montu a bit above a solid mid-side coaster as my favorite B&M invert. I rank Cyclone right below Vortex at Siam Amazing Park, which strangely I don't actually hate the SLC version of an inverted coaster and find its drops in power mostly enjoyable, though the final two barrel rolls and that final helix really hurt me on Vortex. How good do you find Cyclone? Do you think it is as enjoyable as even much larger coasters? Let me know. And as always, Cupcake Crop.